What is up, everyone? We are live. It is March 2nd. We made it. It's been a long, fun college hoop season. I know a lot of you are brand new, just hopping in for the first time because it's March. A lot of you, and thanks to you guys, have been around for the whole season. It's been a fun season. Lots of good games, lots of breakout performances, lots of good screenshots in the Discord for Run Pure. I'll bring in Kurt first. Kurt, Saturday. It's March. How you feeling?
Oh, I didn't do it. I almost did it.
You almost did.
I'm feeling good, baby. It's flown by. I'm sure this is cliche to say, but it has. We're here, and some stuff opened up to where it's a really fun slate. And I think the sharp people will know what to do, and I think the masses won't. I think we need to take advantage of that here, and we'll get into that later.
Yeah, Gav, we've got an interesting slate here to kick off. Just an awesome Saturday of games overall in college hoops. Big day. How you feeling?
Yeah, good, man. This is some of the better, I'd say, high-quality Saturday games we've had in a bit. The DFS slate, we got some absolute dog-ass games too, though. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is we've got, I think, a 12-gamer, and an 11-gamer today for our 3 slates. So buckle up. It's gonna be a long one. We've got 12 games to talk about, so we should just dive right in. Like we usually do, we're going to go game by game, talk about spots, bets, and DFS. We kick it off Florida at South Carolina. South Carolina playing well. They're kind of creeping up in KenPom. They're at 46 right now, Gav. They had the Texas A&M win on the road on Wednesday. That surprised me a bit. But now at home here, a pace spot against Florida. What do you think?
Yeah, Florida off the 2 bounce-back wins, after they lost the tough one at Bama. They have the Bama rematch Tuesday. I don't know if that's really a look-ahead concern just in this spot, but yeah, South Carolina back-to-back road wins now has Florida and Tennessee to try and cement their tourney position. So we'll see. Stylistically, it's not too great for Florida. Top 5 transition attack on the road versus South Carolina team that's top 100 in limiting transition. And the 11th highest half-court offense frequency. So they're really going to walk the ball up the court, not really the game that, Florida wants to play, like we'll see versus in a Florida-Tennessee or Florida-Bama, Kentucky, games like that. So know that going in. Any game at South Carolina is probably going to be a little bit uglier game environment-wise. But there are some advantages. Florida, top 50 in rim rate versus South Carolina's strength in terms of near prox rate, top 75, keeping the ball away from the rim. So, I think situationally probably is a little bit more on the South Carolina side for me. I haven't gotten to it betting wise, but definitely some DFS spots.
Yeah, Kurt, Florida has been a good spot for DFS over the last couple weeks, but like Gavin said, this is a tough spot for ceiling games just because of South Carolina's pace. Do you like anything here DFS wise?
Yeah, I think South Carolina, I think they're going to kind of force them to play at the slower pace as much as they can. I see Talon Cooper is projecting decently. Michi is wow. I still don't mind Michi as like a Q play since it's the $30 today. So maybe they do kind of play fast. Michi has to make his shots, but not like a main team play for me or anything. You just throw him in the queue as the last spot because there will be some chalkier guys, guards especially in that 7K range. So throw Michi, get a little different, but not really much. I don't really like playing Talon Cooper. I'm not really into him. And Murphy Bowles has been awesome, but Florida front court is not fun to play with. And I'm not playing roulette with Florida forwards. So pass, I guess.
Yeah, Gav, I think this game might be a pass for me for main teams, but I think there's some interesting plays throughout. Let's start on the South Carolina side. The Frosh Murray Boyles has been really good in conference play. Has scuffled a bit down the stretch. I have a bit of concern that he's kind of hitting a wall. I know we've talked about that kind of throughout this week. The freshmen, playing their 30th game. Sometimes you see them kind of hit a wall here. Do you like anything DFS wise in this game?
Yeah, I think, Murray Boyles is probably not as exposed to kind of the freshman wall like, say, a Miles Rice, who's been carrying the load for an entire season for a team, versus Murray Boyles has kind of come on the scene like in the last month or so and really been playing well. So I think he's all right. He's got, if you're not familiar with him, he's kind of got a little bit of a DJ Burns body. It's a big boy, but he's pretty good on his feet. Can play through him in the post. He can pass it. I think he's an awesome Q play today. Michi in this spot is probably only a pivot. One of the highest owned guys on the slate is at the same exact price as him. So that makes him a pretty interesting leverage spot. Like if Michi was 500 less, I'd probably be playing him. I did bet his points over and a bunch of his alts like up to 18. So definitely a good spot for him. And then if Miles Studi is out, I think like Zach Davis is mainline viable. We did get a little bit of injury news that's going to open up probably a pretty free square, at 3.4K, 5K for Davis. Like if he's going to play 30 minutes, I feel decent about him getting at least like an 18 to a 22. So I'm more in on Davis than you guys are. Other than that, though, probably not going to be playing much Florida at all here.
Yeah, I played Davis on my main lineup during the week. I was surprised to see he played mid-30s minutes, but if he gets mid-30s in this pace spot, I don't mind him there at 5K. We don't have a ton of value. The Kolek news that we'll talk about later will open some up, but I think Davis is fine in this pace spot. All right, let's move on. We got DePaul's back on the slate for some reason, not having these games on slates for next year, but here we are. We got Butler at DePaul, Gav. DePaul down to 309 at KenPom. They are 3-25 and 0-17 in conference. They host Butler here. Butler laying 12.5, 148.5 total. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, dude, DePaul is like Louisville levels last year bad. It's ridiculous. But, I mean, look, Butler's lost 5 straight themselves. They just got hammered by the Johnnies at Hinkle. They've lost 6 of their last 7. And all 4 of the last 4 losses have been by double digits. So it's been pretty ugly on their side. Now, if you think that's bad, 12 of DePaul's 17 conference losses are not by double digits, by 20-plus points. So, at Hinkle, they only lost by 14. They kept it reasonably close. Can they keep it competitive in this spot? I tend to believe so, just because I'm not really thrilled by Butler, but this is also a spot where Butler can really stretch its legs. And, when you're down in conference, kind of kicking the shit out of one of these blind schools is really a way to start feeling better about yourself.
Yeah, playing DePaul has done that for most teams this year, Kurt. Butler has been pretty tilting for us the entire season. They played a couple overtime games in big spots. Their games have gone pretty nuts at times. They have lost 5 in a row here going into DePaul. Expect kind of a max effort spot here. DFS-wise, their prices have come down a bit too. I think there's a couple guys in play. What do you think?
Yeah, so for everything that Gavin just said, like DePaul, it's just been terrible. So you can pick on them. And the good thing about it is they're not popping in projections. Now, site-wide, I'm sure it's the same case rather than just cast projections. But, I mean, if none of them are going to project well and they're playing DePaul, like you can – I want to take some shots here. Obviously, Davis is projecting the best. Posh, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Telfort is in play. I only want one of these guys because I think, even though I think 1 or 2 go off, I probably want to stick to one. I don't know why I'm echoing. Oh, God. Is that me?
Yeah. I kind of have a hard time outside of Posh picking between the Butler guys.
I
Gav,
could see
I can see
Davis getting hot. I could see Davis getting hot, but it's just that's.
Yeah, Gav. What do you think here? I think I trust Posh the most. I was pretty surprised that the Butler guys aren't popping even more than they are, given the matchup.
Yeah, I get it. It probably starts with Posh. I think, the reason that I didn't take any of the 4 main scorers on Butler in terms of like points props is I know Butler's going to score. I don't know which one of these guys is going to get 20. Davis is going to be more the scoring reliant gunner, like Q play type. You're probably going to need like 20-plus points from him, given he's not a big peripherals guy. But yeah, Posh is kind of the one that puts it all together in the periphery. So, probably starting him. I mean, shit, if Butler scores 90 in this spot, which I don't think is crazy. Yeah, you might need 1, maybe even 2.
Yeah, it's just like it's so uncomfortable clicking the 1. Would it be Posh if you had to choose one, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'm probably Posh, then Davis, then Telfort, then Brooks.
Yeah, I think I'm Posh, then Telfort, then the cheaper guys, just because I'm not sure I played Brooks, Davis, Jalen Thomas all season. So any looks on the DePaul side, Kurt, or can we move on?
You probably shouldn't, but like Chico Carter. I mean, if you're 150 today, like there is the $1 150.
Yeah.
I would max one, but have Chico in there, have Elijah Fish in there, have Terry in there. Just only play one though. We have seen these Butler games get weird. These guys are sub 7K. One of them can get hot and just take all the usage. So just keep them in the 150.
Yeah, I think the rule I would have, Kurt, is I would probably only include a DePaul guy if I had 2 Butler in my lineup.
I like that. For a non 150 guy, that's a good rule, Stevie. I like that.
Do you have any last thoughts here?
Negative. It's a DePaul game.
Yep. All right, let's move on. Big East, Villanova, and Providence. Providence minus 2.5 here, 134 tote, pretty low. That might be the lowest on the slate, Gav. I took Providence at open. I think you might have taken them as well. I think it's a great spot for Providence here. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, we were on Nova in the first game. That was the 68-50 game at Villanova. Score was 26-16 at half. And then Nova just stomped them in the first 10 minutes of the second half and didn't look back. Providence is off getting, boat raced at Marquette. If you allow Marquette to shoot 54% from 3, you're going to lose every single time to them, and you're going to lose really bad more often than not. Nova just drubbed Georgetown. They're also only 3-7 straight up on the road this year. The 3-point shooting falls off from like 33 to 31%. In that game, I tweeted it. Everybody on Providence, other than Devin Carter, was 2 of 25 from 3 in that first game. These are the Nova opponent 3-point attempts on the road. So like Nova on the road, their opponents at home. Here's their 3-point attempts last 4 games: 29, 27, 30, 32. Providence took 33 as a team in the first game, only shot 21%. So they're going to shoot a shit ton. I took the Dev threes prop. I think his alter in play too. The only thing that could really slow that down is just the pacing. Nova's got a pretty good near proximity rate, keeping the ball away from the rim, but they're also going to force you to shoot over from the 3-point line. So yeah, good Providence spot overall. I don't know if this is really the good spot to kind of mainline the Providence studs, but they're going to be awesome Q plays because I bet they're going to be probably as low owned as they've been since the Hopkins injury, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So Kurt, tough game for DFS just given the game environment. Nova, like Gav said, plays super slow. They're going to walk the ball up, but the Providence guys, the usage, the minutes are just so good. Oduro off of the foul game and then the blowout. He's down to 8K here. Do you have any DFS interest in this game?
Just such a good spot to go back to one of the Providence studs. I mean, no one's going to want to do it. It's Villanova. They're coming off a very shitty game. I like the idea of doing it. So far, my builds I haven't, but just talking through, I think I want to try to definitely get overweight, especially for multi-entering on either one of them. And then we have the injury news for Villanova, but I don't even want to play that roulette game with them. Like Providence is no slap over on D. They're tough and there's just it's just gross. Villanova's gross. They're always gross. I'm not playing that game with them. I like the idea of doing an 8K Josh Oduro, but it's just tough because I just want to jam Marquette so much, and then I just want to go more balanced today. But God, are they such good plays? The Providence guys are such fucking good plays.
Yeah, I think like Gav said, they're good plays in the queue because people aren't going to want to click them in this low total. And Gav, we've seen Carter have huge games even when Providence scores mid 60s. So I think they're good queue plays. Any last thoughts here, Gav?
No, I don't know if we're playing much else on Providence here. God, if you want to play a really disgusting, I don't think we need to play a Rich Barron anymore.
Yeah.
He was probably more in play before the Kolek injury, but yeah, I think just Carter and Oduro, even outside of the queue, I think they're easy guys to get overweight on. You play 25% of them, you're probably going to be 2.5x the field, I'd imagine, on both.
And then, Gav, how many of these Nova guys would have to be out for you to consider Nova? I know Bamba and Longino are coming in questionable. I think at least both those guys have to be out before I would consider Nova.
Yeah, I'm gonna cross off Nova pretty confidently and not even think twice about it. I think if you want exposure to them, it's a max 1, and it's probably a Justin Moore or a Mark Armstrong type.
Yeah, Kurt. You want to say something real quick before we move on?
I did, but I think I forgot. Oh, what was your percentage? Were you talking about what was your ownership prediction on the two Providence guys you said? I missed it.
I bet they're like 10-ish.
Under 20,
like
yeah.
I like what you said about having 25%. Like, yeah, it's so easy to get to. If you're on 20.
We have good projections on them here. We got
Yeah.
Carter for over 40, Oduro for about 35. So, they still project great. All right, let's go to the ACC. Another game that could have been ignored on the slate, but it's on here. Florida State, Kurt's boys at Georgia Tech. Ja Tech off that home win against Miami. Not as impressive as we thought it would have been coming into the season. Again, we got Florida State 3-point road faves here. Totals up near 150, 148.5. What do you got for us?
Yeah, this game was played back on January 3rd. So another one of those kind of weird conference, rematches. Florida State won that 82-71. Hard to get a sense of where Georgia Tech is. They get just shit kicked by Clemson at Clemson. Then they beat just a dead as shit Miami team. So it's like I'm not really sure, but they do limit transition pretty well. Top 50 rate. Florida State's going to try to push it offensively. Top 25 transition rate. Man, Florida State, and if they can't push it against you and they do have to play in the half court, they're 339th in half court offense point per possession. So it does set up pretty decently for Georgia Tech. Both these teams are going to foul you at a pretty decent clip. I think there was like 40-something combined free throws in that first game, so definitely could see a little bit of that. I think that's part of the reason why the total's ticking up too. Interesting spot. I mean, this could be just – I think there's going to be a theme a little bit of two dead teams playing in the final games of the year with nothing to play for and games tending to lean a little bit more over. Do you really want to get down in a stance when your team's dead? Do you really want to close out as hard? But nobody takes offensive possessions off. So I kind of agree with the line move.
Yeah, interesting spot here, Kurt. We've seen the Georgia Tech guys have some big games lately, especially Miles Kelly, who's been, I know, frustrating for me all season. He's been kind of a whack-a-mole guy with massive games mixed in with just complete duds. He's at home in a pace-up spot here. Any interest in him? And then so we're at the point of the season where we're going to have to start monitoring some senior nights, Kurt.
My favorite time.
I went and looked last night. We have 3 of them on the slate. This is the first one. This is Georgia Tech's senior night. Their seniors are Kyle Sturdivant, Claude Duwona, and Murphy. So we could see Sturdivant start here. He's been playing good minutes off the bench lately. What do you got?
Yeah, I think he's interesting. We've seen the minutes tick up for him. Senior night air is all I really needed. I was like a little bit iffy on him, but I think 20 max play, Q play, stuff like that. Not a main team. Well, I mean, if you fall in the last spot at guard, but like I said, I'm just jamming a lot of stuff later on. But I think Sturdivant's a fine play. I wouldn't talk anyone off of him. Just a side point, not that for this slate, but Nathan George reminds me of a less potential ceiling Elliot Cadeau, like a guy who's going to be a good player, but he's just still figuring out how to score the ball. Cadeau has a much higher ceiling, but I think he'll be fun to play next year. But Sturdivant for senior night, and then I'm not playing with my Florida State boys. Like Darren Green's going to chuck, Spears maybe, but just no need. That's all I got. Sturdivant. If I had to play one guy, Kelly's fine. But I just got the Kelly game. I got Kelly and George on that afternoon slate last week. I'm not tempting fate. I played them together last week. I'm good. I'm hopping off.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to play Miles Kelly. Either just fade him or take some shots and then don't go right back.
Yes, exactly.
Gav, I know Kelly's been frustrating for you this season. He cost you a seat about a month ago, I believe. Any interest in him or Ndongo's seeing 30+ again? And then speaking of 30+, Jameer Watkins, 30+ in 4 of their last 6 games. Pretty surprising for a Hamilton team. What do you got here DFS-wise?
I think Watkins is, if he's going to, retain this AK price, then he's going to be, a pretty interesting contrarian spin on just about every slate. Just with what he can put up, peripheral wise, if he's going to get 10 shots, boy, he's got a soft matchup here. So yeah, if you want to mix in a little Jameer Watkins, I get that. Kelly and Ndongo, I mean, God, if Ndongo's going to play 30 minutes, I feel a little bit better about him than a Kelly. But I don't mind either play. Personally for me, I'm not going to play a guy just because it's senior night. What I'm using senior night for is if an expected starter that I'm playing is not starting because of a senior, I don't want to just get off the guy immediately because you're going to come into the game before the first media timeout anyway. So that's typically how I use senior night. So yeah, other than that, play wise, like I guess if you want to play George, 30 minutes at 5-2 with the ball in his hands a bunch, it's pretty swarming, tough defense in Florida State, at least on guards, a little bit softer underneath. So what about Kawasi Reeves?
Oh God,
Can I interest you in any Kawasi Reeves? Can you get a 20 from him?
God,
I think you can. Do you think that the minutes bump last game was real? Because prior to that, he was playing 18 to 24.
Yeah, he was playing like 30s for the first half of the year. I don't know if there was an injury thing. I don't know if it was just a rotational thing. I think you can mix a little bit of him in the 150.
Yeah. I will say, Gav, as far as senior night, Georgia Tech might be one of those teams that has just a really weird lineup because they've got 3 guys that don't usually start that are seniors. So
Ebenezer Dewona might come out with the guys who do the laundry because that's basically what he provides to this team. I don't know if he's going to start or not. Like, who knows?
Yeah, like him, Carter Murphy, doesn't play at all. He could start over like a George or a Kelly. Sturdivant could start here over Reeves. We could see some fuckery from Georgia Tech here is what I'm kind of smelling out. All right, let's move on. We got a big game here in the Big Ten, Illinois at Wisconsin. I know it's big here in Chicago. I'll be out watching that one today. Noon tip here. We got Wisconsin -3, 152 tote here. I didn't take this bet because I can't bet, but if I could, this is just – you can't really draw up a better spot for Wisconsin here. Illinois has been great, but their defense has really taken a step back. They got Purdue at home on deck on Tuesday night. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the Ken Palm line is 1, so you're paying full 2 points for the spot. I think it warrants it though. Illinois is just off one of the craziest games of the year. 66 possession, 105 to 97 game, like 1.59 points per possession and 1.47 is just insanity. With Wisconsin off the awful loss at Indiana, where they gave up 54 points to that front court and allowed Indiana to shoot 43% from 3. They are 277th in 3-point percentage, and they just fried Wisconsin from 3. That being said, like Wisconsin stylistically matches up really well with Illinois. They're going to limit transition. I think the 36th lowest frequency defensively versus the Illinois top 30 transition offense frequency. In addition to Wisco being, top 20 in post up, Illinois 285th defending post ups efficiency wise. So they definitely is a Wisconsin spot. You're paying for it. I get it. But yeah, man, some of these Wisconsin prices. I'm not usually a Wisconsin clicker, but it's gonna be pretty tough not to play one of these guys. I think the sleepers media guys we're talking about, like Underwood may just be saying fuck it to the defense. Like we're just gonna try to outscore people because you just can't find the type of defense that he wants to run. So he's just gonna run out his best offensive players, and I think there's a little bit to that. So yeah, great Wisconsin spot. Still Illinois guys in play.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense, Gav, because that's the kind of games I think that they can win. They've got the athletes for it, for sure, if they can drag teams into the up and down game that they want. Kurt, DFS-wise, we've seen Coleman Hawkins just go to another level lately. He's been so good. That's our guy. Love to see him playing so well. Terry Shannon can always break a slate. I think he had 50 the last time he was on a Saturday slate. Thoughts on the Illinois guys first, and then we'll talk about Wisconsin afterwards.
Talk about 2 guys who are just so live to go for 50. I mean, almost every slate, regardless of kind of the matchup, to be honest. Just from all the stuff they can do. Shannon 84 still in play. I'm not going to be on Hawkins here. Don't mind some Shannon in the pool. I'm really not getting into the other guys. It's really just them. I feel like it's getting kind of concentrated.
Yeah.
On the Wisconsin side, look, I never in my life have gotten Crawl and Wall right. So just give me AJ Storr, the guy who's like the shot rate leader on the team. Maybe he gets hot. He can drop 20 real. When you drop 20 real at 6,200, just do a little bit of. I mean, he's not a peripheral guy, but just do a couple more things for me. And I like that. And with Illinois, I mean, even Shannon's defense is just fucking been ass lately. And he used to be like a defensive stud. Like I don't know what happened there. He came back from suspension. He doesn't play D. Why? Y'all know why?
I don't know. He's just getting ready for the NBA, I guess. Just
There
uses
you
all
go.
his energy at the end of the court and just kind of stands around on defense. I watched the first quarter of that Celtics game. That was horrible last night. Gav, DFS-wise here, you touched on Wisconsin. I'm not a Wisconsin guy either. I think Crowell's the best play here. We don't play Chucky Hepburn here on the show. I
don't play
Crowell,
5K Chucky Hepburn, much less 6.7K.
Coming off a couple of hot shooting games. I think it's Crowell or Storr. My issue with Storr is his minutes have been squeezed a bit lately with a couple guys getting healthy in that backcourt. What do you think?
Yeah, Greg Gard has found that, man, John Blackwell is really good. As a Frost bench scorer. If Storr isn't going, he's definitely been ceding minutes to Blackwell, but I think Storr's an awesome Q play because if he gets hot and can stay hot, he can, easily 30 plus in this spot. He could score 20, real points, 25 real points. Maybe like some Storr point alts in this spot might not be a bad idea, but think I'm probably off the Illinois guys. I just think that there's better options and better spots with a better game environment. But yeah, I'd probably rank them Crowell, Storr, Wall, everybody else, and then Chucky.
Yeah, I think I'm the same on the Wisconsin guys. I have a bit more interest in the Illinois guys just because of the game environment and the context of the slate. It is still a big total. They still do have a 78 team total here, even though
you're playing Hawkins over Oduro. There's no way I am. Maybe that's wrong, but I can't.
You are giving up almost 14 points in the team total. I'm just saying that I think that they're good plays. We've seen the ceiling with the current style of basketball that they're playing. I think that both those guys can get there in any game. I'm not playing them on main or anything. I just think that they're good plays. We have really good projections on both of them. So, all right, let's keep it moving. Kansas at Baylor, another good spot for the home team here. We got Baylor minus 5.5. They're laying 5.5 against Kansas here, Gav. 144.5 total. We got McCullough still questionable. We have him projected out right now. Langston Love's questionable. He hasn't played in a couple games here. What do you got for us here, Gav?
Yeah, man, Baylor off a really impressive win, at TCU following, a tough trip and at BYU, then playing Houston in overtime, still come back and give it to TCU on the road in the next game. They're starting to gel and definitely get their form. KU, man, reeling-ish. That was such a bad loss at home to BYU. Yeah, it's without McCullough. This line is 5 on Ken. Baylor's favored by 5 on KenPom, which just sounds like a lot. So the fact that it's 5.5 in the market is definitely not telling me anything on AMC being in or out. But with him out, DeJuan Harris, Dickinson, and Furphy are the three big usage shot rate jumps. So they're probably going to be the first places you look at on their side. Baylor's just played 3 unreal halves in a row. Second half against Houston plus the OT and then last game. So I get the line movement. This thing opened 3.5. Probably should have bet Baylor in that spot, but decent DFS spot.
Yeah, I think so too. Really good spot for the Baylor guys here. Kurt at home. Kansas is going to pace them up a bit. Baylor's actually right around 300th in tempo. Kansas right around 100th here. Kurt, any DFS looks? We've got the mega tight rotation on Kansas without McCullough. And then the Baylor guys, I think, are playable here at their price points too.
So probably the first play today that is not an obvious play that I love. And it's not a bad play, but people will probably who kind of get squeezed. And that's Johnny Furphy, assuming McCullough still sets. I love this kid, bro. I love this kid. And he's not really broke a slate. It would have been that BYU game, but he shot kind of terrible, I guess. I think he shot below 50%. So I like the kid's game. I think he gets squeezed at 7K. It's not like a smash spot or anything, but I'm just going to keep jamming. I love his floor. I think he is due for a ceiling game. People are going to go to Harrison. I think that's fine. You're saving $800. I'm not going to argue that whatsoever. Has just as good of a floor, and maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to say that. I think Furby has a higher ceiling, but maybe to other people, Harris has just a high ceiling. But I really like Furby here. I'm okay if you want to save 800 and go Harris. I liked having one of them, probably not all lineups, but a decent amount. And then for Baylor, bro, come on. I mean, if you've been getting Baylor right these past 2 or 3 years, like you've been sun running. It's insane. Like Keyshawn, bro, Keyshawn George, because we got Keyshawn this. Okay, is in the NBA going crazy, bro. And we didn't get nothing. I feel like we got nothing from him really. We got 1 or 2 games. So I think it's the same thing with Walter.
He's playing well in the NBA.
He's playing awesome in the NBA, bro. Awesome. I mean, he's up and down, like up and down, like most rookies do. But his upside game, he looks awesome out there, and just like way better fantasy player in the NBA now, which is obvious. But still, like we couldn't get a couple more crazy games from him in college, which I think we're seeing the same thing with freaking Jacoby Walter.
Yeah, I like Walter. I think it's a good spot for him too. I just bet
I think so too.
Actually, yeah, but I just took over 19.5, something like that on Walter here. Thoughts on the Baylor guys for DFS? I think that's where we have some interest here. Like, so here's my thing with Dickinson. It kind of scares me that like McCullough's been out now multiple times this year, and Dickinson doesn't have a ceiling game with him out. I don't know why that has been. I know that both of us have played him basically every site that McCullough's been out. Do you have any read on that and like why he hasn't blown up in these games? And then thoughts on the Baylor guys. I want to get your thoughts on Walter and Ray J. Dennis, guys like that.
Yeah, like if Dickinson is just going to be so reliant on, points and rebounds, and he's not going to facilitate off the block to get assists, he's not going to rack up stocks just because his feet are cemented to the floor, then yeah, he's going to need like 20 and 13 to really, even have a chance to get there at the usual price around 9K-ish. I think definitely still a good spot for him. Like, I initially kind of clicked him in when I was just like quick building, but yeah, he's always going to be mainline viable just with what we know we're going to get from him. Yeah, I'm would much rather play Furphy than Walter in this spot. Like 300 for the difference in peripherals, I think is pretty crazy. I'll even, forego a couple shots from Furphy that Walter might get additionally, just for some of that rebounding upside. So like a Furphy, even this ain't a bad KJ spot either, man. I don't usually play him because 7K, you're probably going to need multiple stocks. You're going to need to threaten a double-double to get 30, but the minutes are going to be there, and he's got a pretty good matchup, at least with Jalen Bridges, someone I think he could be pretty physical with on the block or inside the paint. And then, man, Misi is a sick Q play. Who knows if he gets 32 minutes, if he gets 22 minutes. Hasn't really had the breakout rebounding game recently, but I mean has some of the best ceiling. He's also a frost too, man, and he's not playing major minutes. He might just kind of be getting his feet under him for the stretch run. I think this is a really interesting Misi spot right here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would only play him in tournaments going
into it.
What was that?
I say just understand the risk that you take on going into it if you do play him, but the ceiling is crazy.
Well, I was just going to add on to that risk. Like he's got to guard Dickinson the whole game. I could see this being a Misi foul game. So not main lineup, but definitely upside for the Q if he could stay on the court. Yeah, the Dickinson stuff scares me a bit. Touched that fire a couple times. They're on the road now. Kind of a bad spot for Kansas in general, as we talked about. Furphy, I like. If he's going to shoot 12 times like he did last time out, I like him a lot more. But like, it's just tough for me to spend 7K on a guy who's taken 3 shots. Before that 12-shot game, his max of shots has been 8 for the last month and a half, basically. So, but like you said, the peripherals are awesome. So if he is going to shoot and the opportunity is there for him, for his shot rate to go up without McCullough, I do like that a lot. All right, let's move on. Maybe the decision point of the slate here. I hate when it comes down to Arkansas. We've got Arkansas at Kentucky here. Yeah, we got Kentucky minus 13, 166 total, highest on the slate. A couple of news spots here for Arkansas. Expecting Jalen Graham back. Keon Menafield is still questionable. Trey Mitchell is still questionable for Kentucky. What do you got?
Yeah, this was a really weird first game that they played. 70 possessions in Fayetteville. Game was 63-57. Arkansas was down Devo and Brazil in that game. Kentucky was down Dillingham. Both teams were sub 40% from the field. I wouldn't expect that again Arkansas just off a terrible home loss versus a Vandy team when Vandy shot 25% from three and beat them in Fayetteville. Vandy lost the turnover battle, lost the rebounding battle, shot 25% and won. That's how bad Arkansas is. Kentucky's off two just awesome wins. The Bama home thrashing, and then man, they gritted out that Mississippi State game pretty well.
Yeah.
This is a spot, dude. Like Kentucky can almost write in their score if they come in motivated, they can just pencil in whatever they want. 100, 110, they could just blow the friggin' doors off Arkansas. But Kentucky did slow them down immensely in the first game, limited Arkansas to only 4 total transition possessions. So that partially has to do with, that low score. But yeah, if you don't put Arkansas on the free throw line, you're generally going to be fine. They do run a ton of pick and roll, and Kentucky's 220th in defending it. How about, you know what L. Ellis did in Rupp Arena last year for Louisville?
What's that?
It just gave him a nice, quiet 23. 23 real points. Maybe he just has the Scottie Pippen gene where when you play at Rupp, you just erupt. But yeah, L. Ellis is going to be.
I think you just can't quit L. Ellis, Gavin. You can't quit L. Ellis.
I don't want to play him. I wish he had a fucking broken leg and wasn't playing, so I didn't have to make the decision. I wish the Arkansas team bus just broke down on the side of the road and never made it to the game.
Yeah. Yeah, great spot here for Kentucky. God, they hung 117 on Bama last Saturday in regulation, Kurt. The issue with Kentucky is the reason the team is so good is because they're so deep. They've got a bunch of guys who can do it on any given slate. My thoughts on Kentucky this year is I'm going to be playing guys and betting them in games where I think the other team is going to want to run with them and try to out-athlete them because it's just not going to happen against Kentucky. And I think Arkansas is one of those teams that is dumb enough to run with Kentucky here. I think Kentucky rolls them. I kind of want to take the spread even though it's so wide. What do you got DFS-wise here, Kurt? There's a lot to unpack on both sides, I think.
So I thought I was going to get pushback on this, but looking at projections, I guess I'm not going to. Maybe on one side, but I want one of Ivisic or Brazil in every single lineup. I think at sub 5K, obviously looking at projections, it looks like Ivisic is going to be chalk and most likely to be him, even though his minutes are still random in my opinion. But one of them I think does get the minutes increase, and I think they easily get 4x, 5x. So every lineup I'm going to have one or the other. I think you summed it up in a tweet perfectly about how a lot of these UK guys are like overpriced now. Probably maybe a different scenario with it being Arkansas, but like still, Shepard 86 now coming off the like 70,000 fantasy points he had last game. I'm still I like the RO. I like the RO though. This is that kind of game where he can get some stocks and some other stuff like 8 and 8 with some other stuff and 5,500. I really like that price.
Yeah, I like him a lot as a player. He's big out there, Gav. Darrow. We've got a huge projection here on Big Z. Was kind of digging into it last night to try to back up in my mind the minutes that we have him projected for. It seems like the big issue with him was defensively. It seems like Coach K has kind of come around to playing him. I think that the best Kentucky ceiling team has him playing a good bit. What do you think there? And then other DFS thoughts on this game?
Yeah, Kentucky's best definitely involves him a fair amount just because he's such a different wrinkle in terms of his skill set and what he can bring to the 5 to an already extremely dynamic Kentucky team. So, yeah, it just comes down to really the minutes. Like, I mean, Cal doesn't get like the rug pull harp kind of like Musselman does, but brother, we have seen Cal yank guys out 3 minutes into a game and never see the floor again. So like I could see if Ivisic comes in, fouls first possession, maybe doesn't hedge the roller on the second, and Cal just boom, gone. Like there is some downside, and he's going to be mega owned. So like being under on him in the queue for sure is probably where I'm going to be at. It could be a guy where like I play him on main and then don't play him anywhere else.
Yeah, I could see that. Thoughts on the rest of Kentucky here? We saw Shepard just decimate Mississippi State. That was an impressive win, man. I thought Mississippi State was going to win that game, honestly. Thoughts on the rest of Kentucky here before we move on, Gav?
Yeah, I think RotoWire wrote up Dillingham, so he's just dead in the water immediately. Shepard and Reeves, the prices, man, 8K plus. Like, yeah, Reeves, I mean, 4 straight games scoring 20 points. I'd probably rather just take like a points prop than really pay 8K for him on this slate, just given the lack of peripherals. But yeah, if Fierro starts, I think definitely in play. Like he could get there taking 2 shots, at 5-5 just with his peripheral upside. Yeah, on Yenso, if he's going to lose minutes to Ivisic, then he's not going to be in play, but he's also going to be, the basically direct leverage play to the Ivisic chalk. So 5.8 to get to Onyenso, I think is very fair. I think he's pretty interesting to mix in. Will be, essentially unowned, I imagine.
Yeah.
And if he only really needs to play like 24, 25 minutes at that price to pay off, much less if he plays, 28 or more.
Yeah, I'm concerned about him. Based on what I've read from Cal, it seems like he's kind of going away from him. I'm going to be under on him. I'm going to play a ton of Ivisic here. The Arkansas guys are interesting. Battle with back-to-back 50s. Seems like a spot to kind of hop off here. I could just see Arkansas losing this game by like 30, Gavin. I'm interested in the Ella Ellis take. I like Kurt's call on Trevon Brazil. He's been back for 2 games now. He got up to 17 minutes last game. He was playing big minutes beforehand. I worry a bit because like Jalen Graham's back. He's gonna have a role. Mekhi Mitchell's gonna have a role. They're on the road it's not a great spot. I think what I'm gonna do with Brazil is probably wait and see if he kicks over 20 minutes here. We're playing him next slate. But yeah, we're behind schedule here, so we got to do these next couple games quick. Let's move on. Oklahoma State, Texas. Gavin, the Big 12. Texas minus 10, 145.5 total here. Tough spot for Oklahoma State. What do you got?
Yeah, Oak State, 2 straight home losses, the OU buzzer beater, and then loss against UCF now on the road versus a Texas team that just blew the doors off of Warren Washington-less Texas Tech. Yeah, this is a spot where Oak State's been playing. I think they're 3-0 to the over their last 3 games. Another one of these bad teams that's kind of more up and down than they were, when they were more competitive kind of throughout the year. Yeah, the Texas guys are in pretty favorable spots, and, man, they're affordable. So we're going to definitely have to play some of these guys in DFS.
Yeah, Kurt, I think it starts with the Texas side. I don't have any interest in the Oak State side here personally. I think it starts with Dessou and Asmus for Texas. We got Dessou finally back under 8K. His price had kind of gotten away from us a bit there for a while, but really, really good home spot here. Almost an 80 team total for both Dessou and Asmus. What do you think there?
You said it. I most of my builds, I find myself really wanting to play one or the other. They're priced down. Obviously, Dessou more so, but just big ceilings for both of them. Dessou probably one of the bigger ceilings on the slate anytime he laces them up. I want one of these 2 guys in most builds. Not that OK State is like a pushover, but the price is nice, and the game environment is pretty solid too. So one or the other for me. I mean, it's just that simple. I wish they put down Weaver's price. I like his game, but he just doesn't do much for fantasy. But he's fun to watch. The guy's active as hell and he's long. But they keep pricing.
I think he's a better real life player than DFS.
Exactly. Sadly, it's true. Now, what about like Horton's a terrible basketball player, but he keeps playing 27 minutes. I'd keep him in the 150 pool. I'll just say that. Just very like 5 or 8%. That's it.
Gav, any thoughts on the Dessou versus Asmus spot here? Both guys are pretty cheap.
Yeah, $1,100 difference. If you're playing cash, just punch in Asmus and don't think twice about it. If you hear someone calling him Admis, just stop listening to them. They clearly are morons because this guy's been in college basketball for 4 years. And if you can't pronounce his name as you know, then just forget it. But Dessou, yeah, one of the 5 biggest ceilings on the slate. I think will come in pretty low owned actually in this spot just because of how many people are going to play Asmus. Asmus could be one of like the 3 chalkiest guys on the entire slate.
You think so? See, I think the opposite.
I think so, yeah.
People are going to play Dessou.
No, I think sub 7K Asmus is getting clicked by 40% of the field in this spot.
He's been sub 7K for 2 slates now. He doesn't
at home against Oak State with a big team total. People are going to play him.
See, I was hoping that people would play Dessou and we could play A. Smith because A. Smith hasn't had a big game in about a month.
Gavin, he's not popping in projections really that much either.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'll be playing a lower owned A. Smith than I initially thought.
Boom! There we go, baby.
Yeah. See, yeah, I was going off our projections, Gav. We've got Dessou for 4.4x and A. Smith for 4x. So both really good plays, but if you're looking at the projections, you're probably going to use Dessou first. What do you think about the 2 matchups, real quick, before we move on, Gav, for those 2 guys?
Yeah, Oak State does have relatively athletic bigs that can travel with Dessou, and the Garrisons, the Dailies move their feet pretty well. So it's not like guys anchored to the middle where Dessou can just bomb from 3. It's not a full-on ice ball screen coverage like Iowa State and Houston are, but they definitely hard hedge and will make it somewhat difficult on A. Smith in terms of trying to force the ball out of his hands. But yeah, I don't think I really even care that much about it. It's not like this Oak State team's defense is just so daunting that you have to go away from them.
Right. All right, we got 4 games left. We got to keep it moving here. Let's go Oregon, Arizona. It's cool to see these Pac-12 games on the main slates on Saturdays, Kurt. And I like that we've seen Arizona in a couple of them too. That keeps it fun. Gavin, we've got Zona minus 14 here, 158.5 total. I believe that's the second highest on the slate here. What do you got for us?
Yeah, it's like another potential hammer spot for Zona here. 2 straight comfy wins after the Wazoo loss. Minus 30 to be a 1 seed, I think that might even be value, dude. They have this home game against Oregon, and then they have the Southern California road trip. So USC and UCLA, they suck. It'd be pretty easy for these guys to go 3-0, win the Pac-12 tournament. You go 3-0, you win the Pac-12 tournament. There's such an easy slot into the West. I think taking that might be a good idea. But rematch of a 71 possession game earlier in the year. Zona shot 52% from 3 and took 27 free throws in Eugene. That was also with Nate Biddle and Keyshawn Barthélemy in the game. So even going to have less defense, to use against Arizona in this spot. Arizona's going to challenge the rim, 14th highest rim rate. And Oregon doesn't defend it for shit, 226 guarding the rim efficiency wise. So yeah, this could be another Arizona hammer spot here. Caleb Love, I think, gave him like 35 in Eugene last time.
A great spot for Arizona here, Kurt. Team total up near 90 at home. Like Gav said, Love and Ballo, I think both in great spots. We heard their coach kind of allude to it at the start of the season, Kurt, that Ballo, they were going to kind of keep his minutes in check throughout the season and then kind of unleash him towards the end of the season. We've seen that in their last 3 games. He's playing more minutes. If that's the case, if we're getting 28 to 32 minute Ballo, that's way different than 23 to 27 minute Ballo for the ceiling. What do you like here?
Yeah, I'm just scared to play either of the bigs, but if I have to pick, it's probably going to be Ballo. But I think both are liable to get them either of the other 2 in foul trouble. In fact, I don't really like much here, which is kind of gross because I think it is a good game environment, and I hope it doesn't burn me. But an off-the-wall play here, projections won't tell you to play him, rates won't tell you to play him, but the minutes are turning up. I like what I've seen from Brennan Rigsby, the little white boy, bro. He's looked good to me. If you want an off-the-wall play, sub 5K in this game, I like Rigsby. I like his game. That's all I got.
The obvious tough spot about Arizona is the price tags on these guys. We've got Ballo over 8K, Love, like you're playing Love over a Devin Carter, over the true studs of the
Creighton guys.
The Creighton guys. So any thoughts here DFS wise with the pricing that we have?
Yeah, I think that, Caleb has to come in relatively low owned. Like I imagine, I don't know what, 15 to 20, somewhere in there, probably.
Yeah.
I'd probably lean Ballo, in this spot, but I think Kurt hit it on the head. Like whoever survives foul trouble between those 2 bigs probably crushes. I don't hate the Rigsby. Like if Oquendo's going to cede a bunch of minutes, then yeah, it's probably going to be Rigsby as the beneficiary, but not Pell Larson 7K. Like, gosh, he's at least or under 7K, like price down. God, we're getting good usage like from Shellstad. Think he's in play. He's not terrible. I'd probably play him over like a Boswell in this spot. Boswell hasn't been as bad as he was early in the year, but yeah, like 7.4K Kuznard. I think I'm probably out, even though like Arizona does struggle guarding in isolation, and Kuz is their main ISO creator. Other than that, I think that's probably most of the guys that I would include.
Yep. All right, let's keep it moving. Got 3 games left. We got to hurry up. Big one here to talk about, though. We got to spend some time on this one. Marquette at Creighton. Huge game here at Creighton. They have run out to -6. Gav, 154 total. We see that move because Kolek reportedly out today. Massive news on the slate. Thoughts there, and then how are you dealing with Kolek being out?
Yeah, I don't know if it's been definitively reported that he's out yet, but a lot of reliable people are starting to point towards that. Yeah, this is a rough spot for Kolek to go out. Like, you're at Creighton, then you have the UConn rematch on Tuesday, I think it was. Like, Marquette's just been on an absolute burner. Last won 11 of their last 12, 5th in the nation during that run. They're top 10 in 3-point percentage, and if they're hitting threes, they're going to win a lot of games. Problem is they're also going to allow a lot of threes, and now they're in Omaha versus an elite outside shooting team in Creighton. That's going to chuck it a lot. So on the Marquette side, probably brings, dare I say, Trey Norman into play. It probably goes Norman and Stevie Mitchell and Cam Jones in the backcourt with Joplin and Oso, I'd imagine, to start. We're going to see stuff like Oso dribbling the ball up the floor without Kolek. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
Maybe not.
And if it's not Oso dribbling the ball up, it's going to be him touching the ball in the high post and being the initiator. So yeah, his price tag is pretty bananas. It's fucking low, 7.2 in this spot. If Kolek misses, he's probably at minimum a jam, if not a lock. And then Trey Norman's going to be one of the better value plays on the slate, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think it's Norman that's going to start. It could be Lowry. It could, they could do something else. But yeah, Oso, Kurt, I think the best play on the entire slate here at that price. How are you dealing with the news? And then are you going to play any Creighton guys here at home in just an awesome spot?
Yeah, I like having a run back. I don't think you need one, but I don't know. I really like Alexander at that price.
Trey Alexander. If you go through his box scores, you can find the 2 times I've played him all season. Gaff sent me a text last night that infuriated me.
Bro. And it feels like this would be the spot, too, where it happens again. Because maybe it's a blowout reason or something like that. You start slow and then ends up being a blowout and you just get like 27.
Well, also, Marquette's got a really good defense, too. So
yeah, I mean, it's just hard to get away from just jamming all these Marquette guys. Because even a blowout, I think Ross, Norman, I still think they stay out there. Like Joplin probably stays out there and just chucks. Ben Gold, I'm gonna rotate all the value. Obviously, it's Oso or Cam. I want to have it on my lines because even in a blowout, I think they can. One of the 2 I would be playing gets there. I think both are fine. I think it stays close. I want 2, 3 the stretch, maybe 3 in cash. To be honest, if it's 2 of the cheap guys, I think they could get 12. It's just such a slam spot. We rarely get these, I feel like, but I like it today. That's all there is to it. We try to save time, and that's what I got.
Yeah, Gav, I have a bit of concern playing 3 Marquette on the road at Creighton in this spot without their point guard.
Here's the thing: the total hasn't moved. Why?
I think I was on Creighton with Kolek playing. So
Creighton could score like 85, 90 in this spot if they're efficient from the arc.
So, Gav, do you have a favorite Creighton play here before we move on?
I'm probably, that Shireman's down to 9.2 as well. Holy shit. My God. So the way that I would play Creighton, I think they're all fine. They all, have 40 plus ceilings. Baylor and Calc are probably a little bit more the 50 plus ceiling range of outcomes, but man, Trey Alexander, it's going to be hard for him not to, get close to 4X in this spot, like 30, 33, 35. That's so doable against Marquette, especially if Creighton's just absolutely mashing. So I'd probably rank him Calc, Baylor, Trey. Yeah, they're all great plays.
Yeah, see, I think Calc is the worst of the three here. I think with Kolek out, I think Alexander could just absolutely torch these freshman guards in this game. But yeah, we're running out of time. We got to keep moving. We got 2 games left here. Let's go to Penn State, Minnesota. Gav, I've got Minnesota -6, 150.5 total. So good total here on a couple of games to end the slate. We've seen Ace Baldwin play all 40 minutes ever since Clary was out and then back and then out again. Thoughts on this game here real quick?
Yeah, 2 more deadish teams. Penn State 4-0 to the over last 4 games. Minnesota won this game by 9 at Penn State without Farrell Payne, and they still shot 63% inside the arc. Mini doesn't get pressed a ton, but they are 200th in, or like around 200th in turnover percentage versus the Penn State press. So, yeah, Hawkins got to keep holding the ball. Minnesota 333rd pick and roll defense point per possession. So it's another, as you imagine, Ace Baldwin just nut spot. Now he's down below 9K. Yeah, playing every single minute for the last 5. Yeah, that you're playing some Ace Baldwin here too.
Yeah, interesting decisions here, Kurt, in the 8K range. It's like Ace Baldwin versus the Creighton guys, I think is interesting. We took Ace over 2.5 steals, Gav, plus 120. I like that a lot. I think this is a game where he's live for a bunch of steals. Kurt, thoughts on Ace? And then Biggs against Penn State has been good to us. Dawson Garcia is playing really well right now, and he's under 8K. What do you got here?
Yeah, the Big versus Penn State just came through for me this week when I played Big Cliff. I think played him this week, and I played him. He got 40 plus in single entry. It was clutch. I think I'll go right back to that here. And like Garcia's fits that narrative too, but Payne's a guy who's just going to camp inside mostly. And I asked you this morning what you thought about over 7.5 boards. I don't know, against
we
Penn
haven't
State,
projected it for 7.50.
Okay, so probably no.
I took Payne's over 17.5 points in rebounds.
Yeah, I took the PRA. Yeah,
I like that. I think it's a good Q play too, but Garcia could obviously go here. It's like sneaky options, like Baldwin and Garcia for the spins, and then Payne if you don't have that much and just want to get exposure to the game. Because Penn State, Big versus Penn State, been nice. Stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah, Payne hasn't been fouling as much this year. I checked; he's under 4 fouls per 40, which
they play so much better when he's out there too.
Yeah, he's kind of unlocked them playing better. Gav, favorite plays in this game? Ace. I need your thoughts on Ace versus the Creighton guys, and then Garcia and Payne.
Ace versus the Creighton guys. I think there's way less guesswork involved, which is kind of why I like Ace a little bit more than them. In addition to kind of the stock upside that he has that, only really Kalkbrenner has for the Creighton side of things. So yeah, Ace and Dawson Garcia are great plays in this spot. Zach Hicks, 7+ boards, 3 straight games off a 1-in-10 shooting performance, 6'2". Don't hate him. Kern, you can mix in a little bit, although I definitely take Hicks in this spot. And then Cam Christie's been coming on, man. Holy shoot. This guy, he's getting a pace up here. If the game's a little bit more up and down, it's definitely going to suit his game. He's taking 12 shots in 2 straight games, 34 and 36 minutes. I think Cam Christie's a really interesting GPP play in the spot too.
I like this full strength Minnesota team. I keep betting them.
They're the best ATS team in the nation.
Yeah, I think that we're going to be betting this team in 2 weeks in Vegas in that Big Ten tournament, depending on who they get in that draw. And if they stay healthy, like Payne being healthy is so big. Kurt, any last thoughts here before we go and wrap up the slate with the last game?
All good. Let's get it.
All right, LSU Vandy. No idea why this game's on the slate, but here we are. LSU -3.5 on the road, 144 tote. Gav, we've still got Jalen Cook questionable. No idea of his status. With him being out, we've seen it be the Jordan Wright show as pretty predictable, and Trey Hannibal's been playing well. And then your guy, Lube, Van Allen. We have 7K Van Allen Lubin, Kevin. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I just don't think that Val was fully healthy when he came back, and it was kind of easing him in, rotating him around. Now he seems to be fully healthy. Man, 7K is getting up there though. Comateros did miss for Vanderbilt. I don't know how much that directly affects Lubin. But the thing with Vandy, like the big three played 35 plus minutes. The big three being Taylor, Lawrence, Mannion. Mannion, Lawrence, Lubin. Evan Taylor played 24 in that, but he also fouled twice 7.5 minutes into the first half. So he could have definitely been on the road for 30 plus in this spot without that foul trouble. So I would look at it as, one of those four. If you want to play in this spot, LSU is going to give him a good pace up. I think probably more swap plays than guys that you enter the slate with in your lineup is the best way I'd put it.
Gavin talking up Evan Taylor, Kurt. Where has this come from? I think that the most interesting play in this game, Gavin, is Paul Lewis for Vandy. He's going to shoot a bunch of threes. He's cheap, under 4K. I like him less now that we have the Marquette guys, but like last night, I was staring at Paul Lewis for a while. Kurt, any thoughts on that and guys in this game?
So I agree with Gavin, this being a swap game, but no one interested in a Jordan Wright revenge game? Wasn't he at Vandy last year?
Yep.
Am I high? Yeah, so revenge game narrative.
All three Matt McMahon, Jerry Stackhouse games have gone over.
Jordan Wright game, especially if Cook's out. I think it's a great swap.
Yeah, I think Wright's a really good swap play. Would have to have the Cook news, I think, to play him. Gav, Paul Lewis.
Sure,
Big
whatever.
Paul.
Like you must
Big
have been
Paul.
so baked last night to be staring at Paul Lewis.
Well, you're right about that. I was. I was doing the play. I was like, who the fuck are we going to play under 4K to get to the Creighton guys, to get to Oso, to get to Dessou, to get to Ace Baldwin, and Paul Lewis is playing 22.
Come on down.
He's going to stand in the corner and just heave up threes to end the slate. Gav, you're just going to be praying that 3 of them go in. All right, we're going overtime here. We went through 12 games. Let's get some overall slate thoughts and your favorite play of the day. Kurt, we'll start with you. Overall slate thoughts with this big one today. First big slate in March.
I will go down in flames, stacking Marquette and just hoping they score 50. I will go down in flames. I don't care. I'm doing it. I'm jamming them. I'm living with it.
Hoping they don't score 50.
I want Marquette to score over 50. I think they can do it. I think I can get there if they score over 50.
No, you want them to
want
score
more.
75.
Well, I want more, but I'm saying if they get like 58, I think I can squeeze enough.
So you're stacking Marquette. Okay. What's your play of the day?
Shit, I had it. You know what? I didn't get to talk about it much. Give me Tremont Mark. I think Battle comes back down to earth. It's a great game environment. Tremont Mark, Arkansas, baby.
What?
This is such a clear Khalif Battle back to earth game, going like 2 of 19 for the field.
Who would benefit from that? And then Mark would benefit from that. Come on.
Yeah. All right, Gav, overall slate thoughts, and then give us your play of the day.
I don't know if I really have anything groundbreaking in the slate thoughts, but what I will say is I'm going to be playing Providence guys, and therein my play of the day will be Josh Oduro for his 36, 38, maybe even a 40 spot here.
It's nice.
Yeah, and you're going to get them low owned. I like that. I guess my slate thoughts are you had to get Marquette right. Getting Big Z right on Kentucky, whether you believe in the minutes or not, I think is big. And I think there's a couple guys that project better than I would have them. Like they're guys that project well that I don't like on the slate, which is kind of fun. So yeah, it's gonna be a great day of games here. Oh, my play of the day, I'm gonna go with Crow from Wisconsin. I think he's in a sneaky good spot. I'm gonna get overlooked there at 6,900. I'm gonna have him in one of my Q lineups for sure. All right, we're overtime. It's 10:08 Central. We got to get to our own lineups here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Over 100 watching is cool. We've got one more Saturday show next Saturday. And then after that, you won't see at least Gab and I until the tournament because we'll be in Vegas for conference tournament weekend. I'm not sure if Kurt will be doing anything. We'll have to talk about that. Kurt solo show maybe while Gab and I are out in Vegas sweating the conference tournament. We'll see you guys next week. For Run Pure members, I've got the playbook up, cores are going up, and I'll have cores in the Discord for the other two big slates today. Enjoy the games, everyone, and we'll see you next week.